Bitcoin is pumping, everybody. The alts are pumping. We're going to be looking at the coins that are going to outperform Bitcoin. The markets are back up. We're feeling great. We're talking about Cardano. We're talking about Solana. And of course, I'm talking to the Link Marines out there. We're talking about Chainlink. This is Discover Crypto.
Capital flight is coming to the United States. The dollar is going to zero.
And that's what makes Bitcoin so special.
You have to have gone through a couple cycles to understand.
Once the price is able to clear this level, the breakout is on its way.
This is your indication to jump in now.
Pump it up. You gotta pump it up. Guys, the days of ramen are over. There's no more days of ramen. Up only. It is up only from here, everybody. Oh my God, we almost had a spill. Yeah,
$38,000 Bitcoin. It is an amazing market. Everything is green. Everything on the hourly, the 24-hour, and the 7-day is all green on the market today. It feels fantastic.
This is why we're here. This is awesome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see you, Uncle Brian, in there already. Member, appreciate that. It's fun when crypto's pumping. It's fun when we're all here enjoying life. So tell me right now in the chat, tell me something you're grateful for. I'm sure it's probably Bitcoin or Ethereum, but yeah, Ethereum up in the last hour. Rumors of a Blackrock spot ETF coming. We have a lot of really good information for you guys. Love all of you guys. Jeremiah Dixon with the membership already. Let's go.
Hey, we're going to have a huge Q&A at the end of the show, folks, so make sure you stick around. We're going to answer all your questions, talking about the markets pumping. But speaking of the markets pumping, let's just look at some of these prices, folks. I cannot believe that the market cap of crypto is up 4.6%. But if you look at Bitcoin, 6.4% pump for Bitcoin right there. Ethereum above $2,000, everybody. Yes. It feels like 2021. And I'm not just talking about Ethereum's price right there, but it feels like 2021. Not May, not June, not July, everybody. Here we have Ethereum up 7.4%, almost the entirety of its weekly gain here, about 75% of it. BNB's moving on up. Tether is down. When you see volatility in the stable coins, you know things are pumping a lot. XRP up only about 1.5%, but the 14% for the week's looking great. But we said we're going to talk about Solana. Look at Solana's pump, everybody. Solana is up 10%. Basically its entirety for the week. So it's erased, the flatness for the past 7 days here. Cardano is up also almost 10%. One of the best winners for the week here. You can see it's up 23% for the week. Nice little 8% pump there. And then I said, we're going to talk about Chainlink. Yes. Look at Chainlink. Chainlink's up 40%. Can you believe Chainlink is moving up? It's just blasting past all this resistance. TJ, what do you think about Chainlink? Just, oh no, there's going to be a lot of resistance. $10, $11, $12, $13. It just keeps blasting through.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good things to like about Chainlink. We were talking about it on the show Monday or Tuesday, I think. It's like they watched the show, heard us talking about real world assets on Chainlink, and then the price just started ripping afterwards. But one thing I want to point out, keep an eye, again, we know this is an institutional bull run that's coming in right now. We see big players positioning themselves. What did you see right before Chainlink started ripping? We saw Grayscale Trust Premium go absolutely through the roof. The market for Chainlink, I think it was like $10-ish at the time, but the premium on Grayscale was $40. And then what happened right after that? A big pump. So watching what the institutions are doing with Grayscale, with Blackrock, a lot of times I can give you foreshadowing to what's going to be coming down the pike. So no surprise to see it ripping. It's a great project. We know real world assets is going to be a big narrative going into the next bull market. But yeah, to put it this way, I'm very happy. Anybody who's been watching Basement, probably watching Drew and I talk about that in February, March, April. Hopefully you guys have all accumulated a lot and are happy. Well, I want to ask you guys in the chat. I want to ask both of you guys right now, who's feeling FOMO? We knew this was coming. We knew a lot of these, pumps would be a lot of fun to be a part of. But I know conversations in the office right now, I was like, I don't have enough. I knew it was coming, but I'm not prepared yet. How are you feeling about FOMO?
There's certain individuals coming out of the woods finally that were bearish for so long, calling for the 12K Bitcoin, calling for 9K Bitcoin. And today, I won't lie, I have seen a few posts of these creators and certain individuals coming out and saying, hey, we're flipping bullish. So that was the first sign of me. I was like, man, should I start taking profits finally at this point?
Right.
But either way, just coming off the Chainlink top, I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is bold of me to say, but I believe Chainlink deserves to be not just a top 10 cryptocurrency. I expect this to honestly now with the new CCIP, everything Sergey is doing, it is going to blow into like a top 7, top 6 altcoin here. So I don't know, it's becoming more and more blue chip each and every single day, more than it already is.
I could definitely see it be top 5 if you remove the stable coin. So you remove USDT, you remove USDC. I could see a Chainlink as a number 4, number 5 coin. I'm actually working on a video right now with Catch Them All. We're gonna have a Chainlink video, so keep an eye out on that. Maybe over the weekend or early next week. So keep an eye out on that. We have Mark the Shark. Speaking of these crypto prices, if you think that's nuts, you should check out Kaspa. Yeah. Well, Mark the Shark, you are right. Kaspa is nuts. It looks like a lot of chat really likes Kaspa, and a big shout out to Nick Demondi making that possible. He put a lot of you on to Kaspa mining. How long ago was that? Do we remember?
6-7 months, early in the year.
Ooh, man, can you imagine getting into Kaspa mining a half a year ago, folks? So, big shout out to Nick Demondi being ahead of the curve. Kaspa up 26%. What are you going to say, TJ?
Well, I saw Jeremiah Dixon saying Chainlink will be king. I also saw Bob from accounting saying, dang, I wish I had went ahead and put my 1K in my link instead of just doing the 100 a week at a time. And that's something we've talked about on the show before. DCA is a great strategy, but if you're getting ready for a bull market and we know it's coming, DCA is great when the price is going down, when the price is going sideways, if it's unknown. If you know where the trend is coming, you want to go ahead and pack your bags, most likely with what you have on the sidelines. I'm not saying rush in with everything right now, but when your thesis is the biggest bull run's coming for 24 and 25, you don't want to be caught with dry powder on the sidelines. So just take that with a grain of salt. That's I go heavy early. I like to DCA-ish, but really for the most part, it's just like my DCAs are, hey, I have cash, I'm dumping it all in now. If I have more cash in 2 weeks, I'll do it again. And that does help stay out of the FOMO, but there is still, FOMO is real, and I still think we could probably reject off 40K here. So, don't think it's going straight to 200K overnight. This is a long path. I still believe we're going to crack 200K. I know I'm a little bit on the more bullish side. Now this is through 2025 all time, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, you see it with the traders. The first article we're jumping in today is like traders betting $1.2 billion on a price rally. And so are we going to hit Ethereum, or are we going to see a $3,000 Ethereum, DZ? You got it up on your screen, I believe, with the highlights here.
I do think we'll hit a 3K Ethereum. I don't know if we'll do it this year. I definitely thought we were going to hit 2 before the end of the year. I did not think it was going to happen in 2 days, because I was talking about this just a couple days ago. I do want to highlight just a couple more alts real quick, because Kaspa fanatics, you guys are going crazy. We see Kaspa up 26% for the week. Let me zoom out a little bit here. 26% for the week, but look at that. For the day. Look at the weekly there, 78% pump. Illuvium, I know we wanted to touch on Illuvium real quick. Did you call out Illuvium?
Yeah,
do you remember how long ago was that? Do you kind of remember the price?
Illuvium, man, I don't even remember. I know it was like low. I don't know if it was $10, $15, but this was back when we were like hardcore into player and gaming. I mentioned Axie Infinity yesterday, I believe, on stream. It was like one of those early on waves we got to catch. Now, I did not ever in my life expect it to go to like $2,000 per token. So I was out by 250 max with all my portfolio. But that was like crazy to watch last bull. That was one of the
It looks like the biggest gainers is Chat's coins here, because we also see Pepe. I know Drew's a big fan of Pepe. Pepe is the number 3 gainer for the day. Makes me think maybe Pepe won't die next bull run. It might get a little bit of a meme coin pop. We talked about Thorchain. Look at that Thorchain pump for the week, 40%. Chainlink up 12%. Rollbit up 12%. And Gala, just real quick, last one here. I want to get your thoughts on the Gala pump. Gala's up 33% for the week, Josh. I mean, can Gala bounce back? They have a lot of
we need the IV. We need the IV to roll in, put it up to me here. No, all of these altcoins are going to move, guys. But unfortunately, even though they're going to see price action move, you see it in meme coins, you see it in the certain communities like Hex that are very cult-like mentalities. Even Gala is going to see gains in this next bull run, but that does not shift my mindset on the tokenomics and the fact that the team took your money and bought themselves a beautiful private jet and copying, Sam Bankman-Fried on that one. So
they had was it Kings of Leon out there? Then they had a song about Gala. Yeah, your back's on fire. I think it was. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to come back real quick to the Illuvium thing to kind of cover where that pump's coming from. Shout out to Meg BZK. I saw she posted on Twitter. Apparently, Illuvium being added to the Epic Game Store, which is obviously huge with the amount of users they have there, and it's another foray for Epic getting into Web3 gaming. I do believe this will continue. It's a trend. Not saying every Web3 game will be a success, but watching this niche, I think, is extremely important. So, and knowing why things are pumping. And then Jeremiah, where did it go? Somebody had a question about their Pep. Yeah, Jeremiah Dixon. Should I sell my Pepe now or wait? I would say just say right now, when you see pumps like this, if you've got a meme coin absolutely ripping, could it continue? Sure. But if you're in big profits on it, I would say take those profits, look at one of your favorite, top tier, mid tier projects that you're looking to accumulate through this next bull market and roll profits into that, let it retrace, and then move back in. So that's just the strategy I like to play with meme coins. When you're on a big pump, pull some profits out, put it into something more stable. For me, it's usually Bitcoin or Ethereum. But if you want to look for another thing that's moving when everything's moving right now, look at, hey, what's my favorite project that isn't pumping today, which is going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for example, a lot of people like Toncoin or Toncoin. It's a little bit on a pullback today. So that might be an interesting one. And that's pretty much about the only option.
Yeah, there weren't really many losers today. Yeah, I mean, you have Toncoin. When a stable coin is the number 2 loser and it's like flat, okay, that kind of gives you an indication of the market. It's just a little bit bullish today. Toncoin peeling back, I think, some of yesterday's profits there. But we do have some breaking news, folks. Now, this isn't confirmed, or maybe it is, maybe not. BlackRock preparing to register an ETH ETF. And if you do want some breaking news, that breaking alpha, like when to mine Caspa, I highly recommend check out our YouTube memberships.
Yes,
everybody. We're going to be having a whole lot of things we're going to be rolling out over the next week with Discord, with a Q&A starting, I believe, next week. We're going to have a special membership-only stream where you guys can ask your questions.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because that's where you guys can be able to get to know me as well as just everybody's favorite altcoin picks, because there's a lot on there that we're not going to talk necessarily on stream that are up and coming and that we do in-depth research on it together. So make sure you check those out because I'm excited to share a lot of things happening in the world of decentralized science and Bitcoin layer 2s. It's going to be exciting.
And you can ask TJ all about his Gary V experiences too. It would be really, and he asked me about my favorite magic card.
Yeah.
All right. But the breaking news, folks, we have BlackRock preparing to register a spot ETF. This was just tweeted out by Bankless, sending ETH here now.
Let's go.
This was within the hour. This is breaking news. This looks pretty official, everybody, but guys, you got to be careful out there. Looks like registered Wilmington, Delaware. I mean, everything looks kind of legit here. So we'll watch for more information to see if that is just truly confirmed here. But
again,
seems like it's confirmed.
This could be a buy the rumor, sell the news. When you see something like that come out, you get on it early. There's a big pump. Now, obviously, it's not going to get approved overnight. We're seeing a lot of this stuff with Bitcoin. There's going to be pullbacks. I think a lot of this hype right now on the Bitcoin ETF, it could get delayed one more time. That could push us all the way up to 40, and the delay could pull us back. So, and thanks, Alexander G dropped the Discord link in there. So yeah, you can get in. We've got the Discovery Zone where you get all of this information that we cover on the show actually before the show goes live. We're dropping all the stories and links in there. We're probably going to give first look at a lot of the coin reviews and things we do in that Discord. So the Discovery Zone is what it's called. When you guys first hop in there, that's where you can chat with us. And then if you really want to learn how to trade, we've got increased stuff with all sorts of different trading lessons and courses. Get in with Kelly, the professor, and many of our top pro traders that are in there every single day. Follow their trades. We're talking about setting up some copy trading stuff in the future. So if you guys want to learn how to trade like a pro, you got to get in that Discord.
Yeah, go to Discovery Zone. I know it sounds like Wendy's Playground in 1993, but guys, we want to evoke the childlike feelings of the bull market here.
1993.
Okay, you're not wrong there. That Discovery Zone, if you guys lived in this area, was the coolest place to go as a child. I loved it as a child. It was just one of those places with all sorts of tubes, and
it's like Chuck E. Cheese without the pizza, basically.
It was like way better than Chuck E. Cheese. So
less urine in the ball pit. But all right, you know what? Speaking of getting in the pit here, looks like the institutional traders were betting heavily on Ethereum here. They bet $1.2 billion on the rally. So I would say they were, I want to say it's a front running of this ETF news, but if this ETF news with ETH is true, I would say maybe these stories are pretty closely linked here. So big money pouring in. Well, the price is already broken out of what they're talking about. So we'll move here. Why an ETH staking rate will increase crypto adoption. So the integrated staking rate now part of the investment case for Ether. Why is it important for an investment, a little increase here for your staking rate? This is going to be big for institutions because you're going to have, the one guy presenting facts to, maybe it's a hedge fund manager, maybe it's just his boss. Well, we could go ahead, store some Bitcoin. We do love Bitcoin, but we can also store some Ethereum, and we also have bullish price targets for it. But we gain Ethereum as we hold Ethereum, where that's not the case with Bitcoin. I imagine there's going to be some hedge fund managers, some money market makers. They're going to say, you know what, let's go and hedge the bets. Let's do a 70-30 split Bitcoin Ethereum. I expect a lot of institutional interest just based off, hey, 3, 4, 5%. You're investing billions, pushing towards hundreds of billions, tens of billions. That 3, 4, 5% that you're getting staking that ether, it's really, really going to pay
a
off.
crypto secret off that for the industry. If you guys are someone that's been in multiple cycles, you might know this by now, but these centralized exchanges, they are offering massive yields on like stablecoin yields just for holding them on their exchange. So exchanges do this where they have hundreds of millions, if not billions in their reserves, and they're holding that, whether it's in US treasuries or USDC, or they're staking their ETH. And they take those rewards and allows these centralized exchanges to just continue to prop up and invest into other projects. So when you see like Binance and Binance Labs, it allows them to keep like this incubation program, so to speak, where they just keep investing in the projects. And so kind of a heads up on as we approach another bull run, you really want to pay attention to those investors and those VC capitals coming from these exchanges, because that is where money's going to move. And that's how that money's going to flow into these next retail tokens. So yeah, it's very important to watch out for.
Speaking of money moving, there might be cyber warfare. We have a lot of money moving into, the war industry right now. Imagine one day there's a financial war happening across the globe. We're spending trillions. We are spending trillions. Imagine spending trillions in a financial war against, let's just say, the East. And I think a big part of that war will be who holds the most Bitcoin. So maybe a really, really good indicator to watch out for. But speaking of indicators, we have some of the best indicators in the market, folks. We're talking about BitLab. Everybody wants to see the charts. Everybody wants to see what is going on with Bitcoin. It looks like it pulled back right near $38,000. We have Kelly. Kelly's also excited. He's doing the YMCA or a variation thereof.
Pump it up. What's
Kelly,
up?
what is going on, man? Bitcoin is going insane. Today, I want to see the 1 minute candle. Is that too much to ask for?
You know what? I did that at the very beginning of the BitLab stream as well. I said, you know what we should do? We should look at, like a 3 minute candle or even a 1 hour, because man, it feels good to see things just that. This looks flat, but let's go ahead and look at this. This is that 3 minute candle. And this is the level right here I was talking about the last couple days. If we break this zone, I was expecting a very quick transport up to at least this level, if not all the way up to 38,000 or beyond. And if we look at this on the 1 hour candle, we can see this is exactly what happened. As soon as we broke this level, and I have it marked out here, it was the $36,000 level, a little bit lower than this, actually, about right at 36. Price action just started activating all those liquidations, and price action transported very quickly. Now, one of the things I want to point out, and by the way, in the BitLab Discord, in the discovery zone, let me come over here, team charts. I shared this right here. This is that zone that we're talking about breaking, that $36,000 level. This is the area that we need to watch, the 38,400 basically, and actually from the bull flag that we had is all the way up here about north of $45,000 up to 46,000. Do I think it's going to go there immediately? No, I don't. Have to be aware that is the target, and some people are going to be trading on that. I still think that this area is going to be a level just short of $40,000 that we need to pay attention to. It doesn't mean it's going to reverse, but we want to watch what happens with price action when we get to this level. Now, in terms of setups, could you have caught this move? Looking at the data and the indicator, I just want to point out two things. Right here, option V, that's a vertical line, and right here, look at what's similar in these two levels. Price action pushed up right after. Now, was there any indication in the indicators? Well, down here, the stochastic came all the way down fully. The engine's no longer overheated. It's ready to run down the course. And what do we see? Price action move. Stochastics reset again. Now, once it got up to here, if you're wondering, should you buy or should you sell? Well, once it gets up to this level, we've already established we're in an uptrend. Stochastics are overheated. We can see the percentage all the way over here on the right. That got up to 99% on the stochastics, 100%. So this was a kind of a no-go zone and was at a clear level that we've been talking about for months. This, like all the way since January of this year, this diagonal trend line has played key support until we were tapping it for the first couple times. We're in an uptrend, so I'm not looking too short at these levels. Stochastics say be a little patient. Stochastics in this consolidation came all the way down, and we have positive money here, so I'm looking for another long entry. And this bottoms starts again, and this is where we see action moving to the upside. If the 4 hour similarly, now we can see this is where the daily bottomed. Now we wait for the stochastics on the 4 hour to bottom, and that would be where option V. And we see now we have a setup on a larger time frame, and on the smaller time frame, we pull the trigger. One of the things I really like about all this, though, is Ethereum broke out also. We had a diamond formation. If it went above you're looking for a long. If it goes below, you're looking to either exit your long or take a short. This broke out, found support, and continued up. Where is it finding a little bit of resistance right now? Right level that I marked out yesterday. This was that target, $2,020. We're right in that order block zone. The target out of this is way up here in the 2100 sort of zone. I don't think we're going to go directly there, but this was all set up. It was telling us it wanted to go. Now, also look at ADA, Cardano, pushing up on the air. I don't remember who was on Discover Crypto or in the private BitLab Discord. I pointed out on the live streams. By the way, everybody that's a BitLab member, I'm doing near daily live streams and they're breaking down targets. This box right here, box right in this zone. I was talking about right here when price was pushing up. I'm looking for price to come back to this zone. Where did it come back to? This zone. Now we're breaking these previous highs. Where did we find some rejection? In that red block. Did I draw it? No, this is part of the BitLab trading stack. Block zones tells you where there's eventually to watch for some hesitations in price, potential rejections, or potential support. Now, the last thing I want to share is right here on this Bitcoin value map. By the way, the guy that does this platform and does all these great on-chain charts regularly, I'm interviewing him today. It's going to go out on Discover Crypto Saturday, and the full length will be on BitLab. Fair value zone based on available supply, based on all kind of different incredible metrics that he utilizes. Fair value is up here at $41,000. So I'm watching for whether or not we're going to get a rejection like we did back here in 2015, or if we're going to break above it like we did in this hyper sort of pre-halving rally before we sell off. But either way, we have this sort of target zone up here, which is between that $38,000 and $47,000 level. Now, I do want to say, this is that market cycle trading cheat sheet. We talk about all this stuff in BitLab Academy. Don't trade against the trend you're in. We are in, this was this period right here, consolidation. We've been out of it. We're looking for longs on dips here. You don't need to go against the market in short and wreck yourself, because if you do, you're going to end up donating your money to people like me and other pro traders if you don't have a strategy. So get inside BitLab Academy. We got all the courses to help you understand how to read these markets. Get inside the BitLab Discord, the Discovery Zone, where we're sharing all the news of the day, the charts, chat, and everything going on in here. And that's all I got to say. I hope everybody stays smart in this market. Let the market come to you. If you miss the move, remember, you never miss the move. You just need to be prepared for the next setup. That's what I got. I'm feeling good.
Hey, I'm feeling great, man. Hey, we got these memberships, Kelly. Now, are you putting your trades in the Discord?
I'm putting a lot of charts in the Discord, and I'm doing live. Basically members, Discord member live streams just for the Discord.
Okay, nice.
Almost every day. I've done every day for the last week except for one day. So get in there.
All right.
You'll see at the very top. I will say, you'll see at the very top, it will say events. Click on that event when you see it, and I'll be going live. I'll be going live again today in the afternoon.
Every time you're live, it is an event. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it, man. Awesome stuff there. So yeah, make sure, guys, you get in on that membership. We're going to be really rolling out a lot of features pretty soon. But let's talk a little Bitcoin here. You know, why are people feeling so bullish on Bitcoin? Part of it is its scarcity model, and it's hitting at a massive undervaluation here. If you look, the stock to flow ratio, it's a model built on the premise that scarcity fuels value and then appears to be regaining its predictive force. Now, when it works, folks, until it doesn't. So here you can see the stock to flow ratio really getting people excited because we're starting to get out of this band. And then typically this measures days from halving here. And so as we go from orange to blue, that is kind of a reset there. We're getting really close. And what are you about to say? How do you feel about the stock to flow model?
I like the stock to flow model. I mean, it's basically it's a supply and demand model for the most part. You know, it's kind of referring to supply and demand. I believe supply and demand does drive all markets. Now, sure, there's other factors that come into play as well, like we saw with FTX in the last bull run, that we definitely have fallen off the model. But it does look to be getting back in line with it, as DZ referenced. What I wanted to say real quick is, if you love it when things are pumping, if your portfolio's up, smash those like buttons. We do have a really interesting take here of why this is happening that we're going to get into a little bit later in the show. We already touched on the Blackrock ETF or the Ethereum ETF filing potentially, but there's some other very interesting things happening. Drew is definitely going to be talking about it on the basement. He was talking about some massive buys being made And I do think this could be potentially BlackRock starting to seed their ETF to prepare for what's coming. So
yeah, do we remember that number? Was it 30 million every hour or 3 million every hour being bought on Bitcoin? There's some rumors floating around in the basement. Hey, we'll explore these rumors. So there's maybe a mysterious whale slowly buying Bitcoin.
British Hodl, who we've had on the show a few different times, actually just put this tweet out. I think if you let's pull that up.
He tweeted out that BlackRock did say they started their seeding or started to seed their Bitcoin ETF this month. Seeding will probably mean 20 million to $50 million worth of it. As will others. Imagine if this pump, which went from a market cap of $735 billion yesterday to a market cap of $798 billion today. A $63 billion increase in market cap is in a single day. Was that from the seeding process beginning? That's what British Hodl is asking questions on. So I did pull up another article where Erica Balchunas, I don't know.
We love him.
Is it Balchunas or Balchunas?
I think it's Balchunas.
Okay. It's one of those. I've heard it multiple times. But the senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg pointed out on X an intriguing change in BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF amendment. The world's largest asset manager is planning to seed the fund this month. So I wanted to look for the sources on this, on if it's actually taking place. And what he discovered through Scott Johnson was that BlackRock has obtained something known as a CUSIP number for the ETF. This serves as a unique identifier for securities, which is essential at the time of issuance and trade settlement. So what that means is essentially they're looking to start that initial funding process, which is typically provided by a bank or broker dealer. And you know what we kind of want to watch out for is more than likely if they're purchasing large sums between $20 to $50 million, it will be over the counter, but it can start reducing that supply off exchanges, which we have been seeing take place. So this is where those rumors are starting to speculate around. And either way, it's bullish no matter what, because more supply is being taken off exchanges, and we have more volume right now.
Well, let's talk about supply right now. So we use a lot of Glassnode data here. Glassnode data shows Bitcoin supply less liquid than ever, despite the market gains here, folks. So the scarcity of Bitcoin supply is tightened, as revealed by the recent Glassnode study. An observation shows that inactivity of coins is touching both multi-year and unprecedented peaks, despite a substantial uptick in Bitcoin's value throughout the current year. The tightening supply defies the price rally, reveals this Glassnode study. So here, supply last active 1+ year age bands. We can see supply last active 5 years ago. We're talking about some OG whales here. And then the red line is the supply last active. So yeah, we're seeing a nice little spike, an uptick across the board for all ages of Bitcoins there. So we're seeing a lot of activity. The supply is going to shrink, and then it's going to, I've talked about this scenario before. You're an exchange and you have 10 Bitcoin, but what happens when people want to buy 11 Bitcoin? Well, if you're an exchange and you're either going to do an OTC deal or you're going to another exchange, and then that exchange has a dwindling supply. And then next thing you know, everybody's looking at CZ and saying, oh my God, we got to buy our Binance. So that's essentially what's going to happen. And then as it supplies, it becomes off to the races moment. So who can get enough Bitcoin for the next bull run here? Let's see. We have a nice value relative to inflation as well. We all know Bitcoin's outpacing inflation. We all know it's the escape from inflation in the long term here. But now it's time to talk about Emmer versus Gensler. Gensler in talks to convert Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to a Bitcoin ETF. But I kind of want to bounce it off you, Josh. What's the Tom Emmer angle here? So we got Tom Emmer. I'm trying to think where he's from. Henry's from North Carolina. Emmer's from Tennessee.
Yeah, so I'll pull up the tweet here as well. But essentially, nobody likes Gary Gensler. And, smash one in the chat. Type one in the chat. Spam it if you want to fire Gary Gensler as well. Because this is somebody that has come in and stepped in with regulatory enforcement and tried to force regulation on the industry for something he has been so controversial about for the last few years. There's massive conflicts of interest that have taken place, and Congress, guys, hasn't been letting this slide. There's actually plenty of congressmen and officials that are like, yo, what the heck's happening with Gary Gensler? Why is he being so green? Let me
share two Emmer quotes real quick. We got Emmer. He called out Gensler for being as ineffective as he is incompetent. I love that quote right there. And then the other one is introducing an amendment to rein in enforcement abuses against the crypto industry. Is that a fair assessment? Is he abusing us? I feel abused 100% sometimes when I look at him.
Roasted. But yeah, he came out and said, he also said that SE Chair Gary Gensler is ineffective as he is incompetent. So this is someone they've been targeting. They're looking to cut off his funding. And right now, today, there was a bill that I retweeted. I believe Discover also retweeted on their Twitter, which is what I'm trying to pull up right here.
There's normally where we retweet.
So this goes to Joshua at Bonafide Mogul. I just met him at the DeSantis event last Monday, actually, where we were talking Web3 policies. But this came from his
this
team.
isn't you talking to you.
No, it's just another Joshua.
Okay.
For some reason, Joshuas are just the best. I don't know. They're just always out there killing it and just, being bullish.
Josh's and Nick's, man. We got, you know what? Tim's too.
Tim's and Josh's. That's where you got to be. But so from BIP blockchain, guys, they passed a bill and the House just passed the amendment today. The one that, and I think that's actually last night, but the one that prohibits the SEC from using enforcement actions against legit digital assets until there are clear rules. This is a huge shot over Gensler's bow. He misspelled Gensler's, but it's okay. And it was passed by voice vote, meaning there was no opposition. So guys, this is W's in the chat. Yep. This is bullish. This is progression. And this is why you have to approach this from a nonpartisan perspective and just realize what it is and that there is massive corruption that takes place with our SEC and Congress is starting to call it out. So huge win today, guys.
I like that amendment because you can't do anything until you get your ducks in a row. Yep. That's essentially what it's saying. So it's like no enforcement actions until you give us clear rules. Why is that a bad thing? Why would they want to fight against that? I think that we should all be championing that. You can't enforce anything if you don't have any kind of real enforcement rules. It's like, you violated that rule. And then you kind of like point at something. And you're like, well, what are you pointing at? That right there. I don't see anything. It's pretty unclear. You idiot! It's so clear. You're in denial. And I don't know if that's really what's happening here, Gary.
It's like forcing a medicine without doing trials. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just,
relevant.
Now he's talking about when you're 8 years old and your mother to gives you some tussin, right? My knee hurts. Take some tussin.
Gotta get that tussin.
Gotta get the tussin, everybody. All right. Well, we love some tussin. Yeah. All right. Speaking of, I was going to say something about Bud there. I'm not going to do that. All right. We have Ted Budd introducing a Keep Your Coins Act bill for crypto empowerment. This was, we covered this on ATB last night, so I don't want to go too much into it. You have to make sure you go check that out. We have a super chat.
No, it's Crypto Alliance. Welcome to the Alliance. Crypto Sunglasses.
Let's go, baby.
Joining the memberships. They're getting in early. They are going to be ahead of the curve, getting that alpha before everybody else. Maybe setting up those buy orders before things go live.
All right, man. Yeah, make sure you watch last night's ATB. We cover why is it important to have self-custody? Do we think that they'll attack self-custody? And what kind of timeline do we have where they just say no more self-custody? We break it down with the experts. A really, really good talk. So go check that out. Maybe someone could give a link to last night's ATB where we cover that topic. All right, now we also have another bill. This one's outlawing government use of China-made blockchains and Tether's USDT. I'm in violation, folks. Oh, no, I've used Tether. Let's see, China-made block. All right, who's traded on Tron? We're coming for you now. So they introduced a bill that will bar, well, it's not you. It's federal government officials from doing business, and it's not just buying it, it's from doing business with these Chinese-based blockchain firms. Market Washington's latest show of suspicion towards Chinese ties in the cryptocurrency industry, according to a statement from the sponsors. The aim of the latest legislation is to ensure that foreign adversaries do not have a backdoor to access critical national security intelligence like Mitch McConnell's wife. All right, let's move on. Yeah, I said it. I said it. He's married to the daughter of a Chinese billionaire. All right, that just seems weird to me. Let's see. We have some ARK Invest. ARK Invest is getting back into it, but I kind of want to just talk about some, they got a new suite of ETFs here. Yeah, we got a lot of ETFs. Let's talk about altcoins, everybody. FTT jumped 81%. Guys, I think it's actually higher than that. Let's go ahead and look. What is FTT? I had some FTT. I thought Sam was going to hold the line. He didn't hold the line, and I didn't have too much, but I wrote it all the way down, folks. I still have, I think, 20 FTT in a wallet somewhere. So
it'll get back to all time.
I have $40. Hey, I have $40 of this altcoin. I think gas fees are low enough for me to get out.
No, but I think it's pumping on the news that FTX could be relaunching.
Yeah. So we have the SEC chair hinting at conditions for a FTX reboot. How do you folks feel about an FTX reboot? Let us know in the chat right now. So we got the parabolic run. This mega rally is rare for FTT. Ever since SBF's debacle there. But the light is embodied in the potential to reboot the exchange. While there have been bidders for the platform, Gensler recently outlined the conditions that will enable the return of the exchange through the FTX 2.0 campaign. So Gensler basically gave the confirmation that there is a path there. We're not saying it's going to happen guaranteed, but Gensler went out, got public and said, yeah, you know, we have a possibility. Do we want another?
It's terrible because this is someone who's met with SBF multiple times and for years has been enforcing regulatory enforcement and just lawsuits on many projects, dozens of projects. And he's out here still just giving FTX the benefit of the doubt, even though he had all those secretive meetings that we don't necessarily know about, that the same people that were donating to political parties. And he's out here, you know, just saying, you know what? Hey, FTT can actually come back. They're going to meet regulations. And this just ties right back to what you just saw with the US Chinese bill right now, where they're trying to push out the blockchain and Tether. They want control. The SEC wants control. This isn't just Gary Gensler. So you can't just be mad at Gary Gensler. He is just the marketing tool for everybody that's going on behind the scenes, funding his pockets. This is way larger than just Gary Gensler than himself. And this just proves that point on them just still trying to pump their own bags. They do not care about us investors. They care about their institutions.
All right. Now, speaking of pumping bags, we do have a lot of alts. You know, we kind of covered it in the beginning of the show. We have Solana pumping a whole lot. We have Ripple and Chainlink pumping a whole lot as well. And we got some data here on Matic and Cardano and Solana. So we have inflows 800K, 500K for Matic and ADA. And then Solana, though, Coinbase leading the way with net buying reveals that 2.2 million Solana tokens were market purchased between October 18th and the rally today. Or, oh, shoot, that was 3 days ago. So now we're probably closer to about 2.5 million people market buying Solana off Coinbase. So maybe a hint of the next wave, the hint of the next wave of retail, the hint of what things might happen, where the markets will defy you and will be irrational longer than you can be solvent.
I'm loving the chat. They are not feeling an FTX reboot. I see FTX plus FTT equals GTFO. I see FTX equals crap. You know, there's all kinds. Nobody wants to see an FTX reboot.
Pour the toilet, baby.
Yeah, except for the people that are invested in it and behind it now. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
All right, can we get FTT printed on our toilet paper?
Sure. That would be good.
Okay, all right.
It's not even worth flushing, though.
All right, let's. I see some Link Marines in the chat right here. Catch them all. Link is on fire here. Chainlink eyeing an $18 price level. The market value hits a 19-month high. Go ahead and hit the like button if you bought, you know, $20 or above Chainlink. I know I have. I sold on my Chainlink at $4, and then I had that FOMO. I'm talking years and years ago, and so my average price for Chainlink buys is just pathetic and embarrassing. So I don't even want to look it up at this point. The 12th largest crypto based on market cap was recently able to break out of the range that engulfed it for more than 500 days. This alongside Monero were basically the two most boring cryptos during this bear market. But now you can see out of that range, off to the races, and kind of stopping. Looks like it wicked up close to this point of control, and previously was above $50 right there. So I think it'll set a new all-time high. I think we get really close to 200 or 100
bucks.
Yeah,
I think I might have to start moving that prediction a little further, because when it was at like $5-6, I made a video even here that was like, you know, we're looking maybe at a $30-40 all-time high because of the tokenomics and stuff coming into this, but it's already almost at $20 right now. And with the CCIP and Sergey right now, it's like, I think they're going to be taking more and more market share and being a leader in this space. That's why I made that announcement earlier. It's like, hey, is this going to be taking number 5 spot on crypto? And I think it can.
I mean, so you guys feel good about a $40 Chainlink?
I think that's inevitable.
I mean, it's too late in the year for it to hit that, but
maybe
yeah,
not
I mean,
now.
I'm
not talking about this year.
I think it's going to 90.
Future, yeah.
90,
There's a lot more Chainlink tokens. You know, if the token supply was the same, I would be one of these people saying $500 Chainlink. There's a lot more Chainlink. There's going to be a lot of selling pressure, and as it goes up real high, Sergey's going to dump some, folks. Let's just call it like it is. There's
he
a
would
lot
never
of
do that.
billionaire crypto founders who know how to play the market. ETH Foundation, Justin Sun, Sergey. These people know how to sell their bags, and you know what? I'm expecting them to take some profit.
Yeah, Vitalik sold the literal top of the market twice. Don't tell me that was just a coincidence. Just don't.
Yeah, and some say maybe it was the catalyst. Maybe they're just really smart. You know, maybe a little combination
it's
of both.
Experience, guys. I mean, you can when you've done this a few times, you can feel the top. You can feel, again, people start coming out of the woodwork. People start screenshotting their portfolio, sending you stuff. You get texts from people you've never heard of, like, hey, what is this crypto stuff? And the more times you go through that cycle, the more times you can, top, middle, or bottom, realize like, oh, I remember the things that were happening in my life last time, and this is what happened right afterwards. So you don't have to be a top TA trader. If you have enough experience in this market, you just get a sense of when it's time to buy and sell.
Yeah, I caught the top by buying a house because I was being shamed by Justin Williams to say, you got to get out of that house. I was in a hit house with like a bunch of roommates. I couldn't even like wash my clothes when I wanted to or use a burner when I wanted to. No offense, Brian and Frankie, but you know, it wasn't the best situation. I remember him just shaming me like, you're a grown man and you're living with roommates. What are you doing? I was like, all right, I'll sell some ETH, man. I guess I'll go ahead and try to buy a house. And hey, honestly, it was the FOMO of interest rates really got me to sell my crypto.
Probably paid off though.
Hey, it worked out, folks. It worked out. All right, we have one more alt story that we're going to briefly touch on Bitcoin NFTs. Polygon and Near partner for a ZK situation here. L2, ZK WASM L2 prover integration. Don't you get so excited when you hear that phrase? Guys, the ZK WASM L2 prover integration. Oh my God, I'm so bullish.
That's like every narrative you need right now. ZK, layer 2, you know, like they just rolled it all up into one thing.
And it's this article written by AI. All right, the headline kind of sums it up right there. We're not going to get into the weeds of the ZK partnership there. But to Bitcoin NFTs, it flipped Ethereum for the first time in 24-hour NFT sales shift. The ordinal is just getting really, really popular, while Ethereum, you know, still kind of boring and sideways. There's like a handful of projects. They're doing pretty good. And, you know, Taco's been doing a good job following them over at NFT Alpha. We could maybe share that channel, Tim. That would be great.
I'll drop it in there.
Yeah, NFT Alpha. If you make sure watch that. Taco's putting out like 3 videos a week, folks. So he's really helps you stay on top of the crypto markets right there. So yeah, we have a lot of just the Bitcoin ordinals and the ordies getting really excited here. Well, we also have some bullish indicators in the Ethereum NFT market, though. We have Yuga Labs co-founder. It was Gordon Goner, I believe. Gordon Goner spent $1.5 million on an NFT buying spree, and he started with a zombie punk, everybody. Huge Grail NFT. This is nuts, folks. So Wiley Aronow is his real name, aka Gordon Goner, one of the 4 founders of Bored Apes. He got CryptoPunks, Doodles, and a Beeple. Good job for him. So yeah, he picked up some blue chips. So this is often the times when you see the big major players start making massive moves. Maybe that's a bottom indicator because, you know, they're buying some what they consider cheap, undervalued assets. I would say if anyone knows the NFT market well, maybe the founder of Bored Apes fits on that list, folks.
And when Steve Aoki purchases, you know, that's a top
sell. Get out, run, you know, run away like he's throwing a cake at your face. Okay,
Yes.
You got to get out of there.
I saw a good, you know, video meme or whatever with the Undertaker waking up, you know, NFTs coming back to life. I mean, the volume was about as dead as it could be. And then just with a flip of a switch, it's boom, we're back to life. And that's part of what makes this market really fun. Obviously, being in crypto, being in Web3, it can change on a dime. And so now is the time you really want to be plugged in. You're going to have some time. I will say, if you're feeling FOMO, don't worry. I had to tell several people this in the office today. Still have time. The real fun is post-halving, you know, back half of 24 and part of 2025. But between now and 2025 is when you want to be as engaged as possible in this market if you want to change your life. And that's one thing I want to drive home. It can change your life very quickly, but don't think you're going to make life-changing money without having to put in some work and some effort into it. You are going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to be plugged in. You're not going to be able to do this passively. So again, now is the time between now and the end of 2025. If you work really, really hard, if you engage really, really hard, if you educate yourself a lot, you get in those discords, you get in these chats, you do your own research, you take risks, it can pay off huge over the next 2 years. And now's the time you want to be getting engaged.
Get engaged. And on that note, we're going to have a massive Q&A at the end of the show. Then rolling out for memberships. We're going to have a members only Q&A starting next Friday.
So drop your questions in the chat for us now, and we'll start pulling them.
All right, let's talk a little gaming here. We got 3 stories we want to cover. Assassin's Creed maker Ubisoft is building a crypto gaming experience with Immutable. IMX is the token behind Immutable. Who's Ubisoft? They made Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six. And this time they're creating the experience with crypto infrastructure and gaming company Immutable. Immutable's behind Gods Unchained is probably their most popular game. And they're building. All right, so when I hear new gaming experience, that makes me think more than just a game. I'm thinking games plus a marketplace. And so I'm expecting this to be a massive onboarding event for just the traditional gaming crowd.
Yeah, this is what I've been talking about. I know we mentioned a little bit yesterday, and chat was like, no, they're going to integrate their own cryptos, and they can do it with these studios and have all these token allocations, because I was talking down a little bit on Gala. This is the proof, guys. You're going to have the largest competitors in the space, whether it's Ubisoft, Epic Games, it could be Rockstar, whoever's in the future, Blizzard. This is an example, and it has very, very limited announcements on what they're actually going to integrate. But with Immutable, I'm going to imagine this is going to be NFTs in a marketplace. Coming from that Twitch gaming sector, I know DZ was very involved with Magic as well. Just
unfortunately,
like Twitch, unfortunately, we tried to go the pro route. You went actually really pro, at least within your niche. But this is what I expect from these creators: is they're not going to necessarily issue their own cryptocurrency tokens, but they're going to integrate NFTs, and this is going to be that first step. And this is really cool. I'm so excited for this because this is, like, in my opinion, the right way to do it for these games. Just because I've seen so many times where they've tried to integrate their own cryptos and their NFT markets and also create a good game at the same time. It's very complex. So
let me put a little cold water. There's real Magic pros who like go to Worlds Championships. That's why like BJ's laughing in the background. He actually like works the real events with like the top 8 ranked players with like lifetime points. They're like 20 years pro with like 3 World Series championship, rings, and they're coming in. And I maybe have won 1 or 2 streamer community events.
Hey,
and you know what?
you're
I'll
good
take
professional.
top 10 a couple
You're
times.
professional.
You've been paid.
You're professional.
Yeah.
All right.
Jason,
I
you have the world championship to my heart.
Oh, you know what? Hey,
Let's put it this way. You're one of the best
spandex.
players I've ever met.
Thanks, all 3 of us. I wore the green spandex like no one else. All right, now this is a kind of proof that they are going to launch. I don't want to say proof. I'm reading between the lines. I'm taking this as a clear indication that they're going to launch a marketplace here. They're going to offer digital ownerships to player through the collaboration. So there's got to be some sort of buying, selling, and I would say potentially custody situation here, because you're not going to be able to onboard a huge amount of gamers when you say, now write down your seed phrase. That's just going to turn a lot of people away. All right, now we got a Illuvium here. So Josh, look at this one. Illuvium Ethereum token surges after the Epic Game Store listing. We kind of talked about that in the beginning of the show. Epic is behind Fortnite. So if you didn't know that, Fortnite is the big winner here with Illuvium. So yeah, nice Illuvium pump there, huh?
I'm ready for it. I've been waiting for Illuvium forever. The beta was out a little bit ago. I don't know if it's actually fully out yet. I haven't had the time to sit down, but this is definitely the most excited game I'm for, just because I was obsessed with Pokemon. I'm sure a lot of people have been, but that was like a childhood experience. So being able to see that kind of come on chain, this is one of those games that like they actually said, hey, we're going to offer AAA graphics, and they came out and there are actually AAA graphics. So I am excited for Illuvium. I don't hold the token anymore. Like I said, I sold it all at like $250, but also, and then it went up to like $2,000. So I missed out on the majority of that pump. However, I am excited for this, and it's listed on Epic Games is huge.
I won a couple local MTG tourneys. I actually had I think the country's number 2 city. I think Roanoke, Virginia, is the top gaming city for Magic the Gathering because of Star City Games. But we had Cape Fear Games and the world's largest Magic online ordering store, and a lot of former pros from Roanoke. So yeah, I had a really good local meta. All right, let's speaking of meta here, we have Sand jumping metaverse. Did you like that little segue I did?
Wow.
Sand jumps 7% as Gucci, not Gucci Mane. We're based in Atlanta. Josh, not Gucci Mane. I know you're a big fan of Gucci Mane. You were bumping him really, really hard about 15 years ago. But no, he's launching a Cosmos Land experience. So Sand's seeing a nice little pump there. But, Gucci and Sandbox, they've been working together for years at this point. But hey, nice little pump off that. I think a lot of that pump is just going to be off Bitcoin and the altcoins pumping there.
Let me come back into that gaming discussion and ask you this, Josh. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. So we saw early on metaverses, Decentraland, Sandbox, that was kind of for the most part, the first big iteration of what they were saying Web3 gaming could potentially be. I do agree, as we see platforms integrate with already big gaming companies, that is likely going to be the way. But what's your prediction on things like Sandbox? Can they survive as things go on, or will they just slowly fade?
I think they're still going to exist as they go on. So when I have a very realistic perspective on this industry. So when I bash a project, guys, I'm usually I can still do a 5-6x, no problem.
Sure.
And in the crypto market and the play to earn gaming sector specifically, I look at that industry as if you're going to touch those cryptos, a lot of these are funded by VCs or startups or these investment funds, and they might not be the most experienced developers, whatever the issue is. And so for that reason, I like to diversify into a lot of them. I'm not saying every crypto game in the sector is not going to succeed. It's just coming from the esports industry and being involved with these developers for years. You got to understand how hard it is to develop not only a good game, but make it addicting. And if you're going to integrate a token to that economy, it's not only got to make an addicting economy, you have to have tokenomics that are deflationary, or if you got to make sure they're not too deflationary if the game gets too much excitement and there's it's too addicting, because that can be really bad for price action. And so what I'm excited for is going to be just Epic Games and these companies in the future integrating NFTs to their platforms. What I would say is like, I've played like Elder Scrolls Online, Fortnite, and like having those first initial season skins, like for so long, being able to put that on chain and have that as mine, and I can resell that in the future. That is what I'm most excited for, because just like Pokemon trading cards, whether it's Magic, you're telling me those go for a lot of money. It's, you know, I want to be able to hold on to those because I know it's going to store its value and its wealth over time.
Shout out to the John Wick skins in Fortnite. I still rock the John Wick.
I was going to say, speaking of bad for price action, it looks like Gary Gensler just woke up and started rage tweeting everybody he could find. We have a massive pullback on the market right now.
Look at this chart. I just pulled it up. This is the 5-minute chart on Bitcoin right here. I swear to God, I looked at Josh and I said, man, I want to open a short right here. I'm not kidding. I looked at it, I was like, man, this is the place to open a short. I had a market cipher. Shout out to CryptoFace. I don't have it on here though. But yeah, look at that pullback. We were briefly flirting with 38K. The chart I was looking at was $37,975 at the time. And I said, man, I want to open a short. Well, you know, there's $1,000 in profit. And then we're approaching $1,500 in profit, almost $2,000.
What's the price at right now?
Drawdown right now. Right now we're at 36,565. So 36. 565. So
that's crazy.
Massive little pullback right now.
Yeah, I was talking to Tim and some of the TA traders here earlier. There's actually a massive imbalance at like 36,400. So I'm curious if it's going to like actually hit this and actually might continue a little bit higher, but we'll make a video on that later today.
Yeah, look at that 1 hour chart there. If you look at that, it's just straight up, straight down. So that's the 1 hour, everybody. All right, we have a little XRP news, and then we're going to roll into a nice little Q&A session, everybody. XRP and Rocket Fuel. So they just got a little partnership here. This is Global Payments Processing Company. I wanted to know, how big is Rocket Pool Inc. actually? Now look, they're saying they're number 2 in TVL after Lido. So maybe something to look at. Now that's not confirmed. That was just me quickly Googling it, everybody. So adopted, we got a nice little partnership here and entered a strategic partnership here. The move is aimed at incorporating the payments technology to modernize their transactional infrastructure, particularly to fiat currency transfers to global merchants and partners there. So looks like they're using Ripple on the back end, or I should say the Ripple ledger on the back end. So just bullish news for people who believe in Ripple's tech right there. And bullish news for the people who say, you know, it's going to be somewhat of a banker's coin. This is just another indication it's heading in that direction. So some people make that it's bullish reason for them liking XRP, and some, well, that would be a bearish reason for not liking XRP. We're just here to present the facts. So nice little partnership for them, and probably should help their bottom line there. Maybe a bigger winner, Ripple Labs over XRP token, though.
Agreed.
Let's see here. Do we have a little Q&A saved up? I
do. I have some questions
seen TJ queuing some up here.
Well, first thing they wanted to say is look at that GUI. I don't know if you can pull this up real quick, but the gas price right now for Ethereum popping up like we haven't seen in a while. 275 GUI.
Wow, that is nuts.
Go buy NFTs.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know
everybody trading stuff around right now. But just what did we talk about at the top of the show? How things can change on a dime. We just saw it. Big build up, but hard rejected off of that price level. That's why it's important to watch the volume levels and the price levels like Kelly was talking about in BitLab.
Yeah.
But first question, we'll start with this. This guy's asked it several times. Chris asking about Theta Network. Theta used to be, or still is, a streaming, decentralized streaming platform. I have a take on it. Do you have any take on Theta? Is it going to be relevant long term?
Well, Theta, I've talked about Metcalfe's law a lot. I haven't talked about it recently, but it's just the power of a network. I don't want to get into the details here, but if you're going to watch a video, you're going to go where everyone's making videos. So that's kind of its main hurdle. But then every now and then you do get a real competitor. And I think to get these big competitors, you have to have a giant war chest. I think Rumble's doing a pretty good job. They kind of, got a lot of exclusive people. Rumble basically was just, they're getting all the scraps kicked off of YouTube. I don't know if Theta will be able to pivot off that, but as we go into a bull market, they will have a good war chest where they can give someone a random YouTuber, hey, we're going to give you $10 million to just stream here for 1 year. If they incorporate that type of strategy, I will be bullish. But until I see them signing big stars, big influencers, I'm going to be slightly bearish on that industry as a whole.
And that's a perfect point, because even if they sign really good creators, when I first started streaming, it was on Twitch, but then I saw Ninja get picked up by a company called Mixer, which was Facebook's competitor to Amazon. And that is, we're talking billions upon billions of dollars. What was that, BJ?
I said, how'd that go?
Yeah, it didn't go
It
well.
went terribly.
Great for
because
Ninja.
It went great for Ninja. He signs his contract, but nobody wanted to switch that network. And they started signing a lot of creators. And it's like they just couldn't get people. Once they're attached to a platform, it's really hard to pull them away. And if you are going to pull them away, you have to make it much more addicting. And you're competing with TikTok, Twitch. Pick's actually doing a pretty good job at this as well, kind of competing with Rumble now. But for that reason, that industry, like decentralized streaming platforms, it is like a beautiful idea in my perspective. But since I've been involved with and seen companies like Facebook that have an unlimited war chest, like you mentioned, not be able to pull it off, you just have to take that into account.
Yeah, I would say, and this is something that it's kind of more of a philosophical thing. Decentralization is important in a lot of areas, especially finance. Trying to decentralize finance makes a lot of sense. Trying to decentralize streaming platforms is a lot more challenging, and it doesn't necessarily apply as well. Like, yes, having freedom of speech is good. Having less control over what's going on the internet, I think, is a valuable mission. To Josh's point. That being said, if you're trying to get a streaming platform off the ground like Theta, they've had so many issues with uptime, with bandwidth, with throughput, and all these different things that come when you're trying to do it in a decentralized way. If you look at the chart, it's pretty depressing. If you look at the performance, we tried to do it here for a long time. We streamed on Theta for about a year, and it wasn't viable because there's so many times when we went to go live that their whole system was down. So I see it being a content platform. Like X seems to be making a big play. I think we'll see centralized platforms roll in decentralized features rather than try to be decentralized from the start. So that's my take on it. I love the mission of Theta. I love the idea of SocialFi being more decentralized. But I think we're a long way out when it comes to that stuff because it takes a lot of work, a lot of servers, and a lot of centralization really to make these things operate the way that create a good.
Yeah, and as cameras get better, it's harder for them to operate. So, we start rolling into 8K and, the file storage, and then, cloud computing and everything becomes more and more and more expensive as there's more and more players, and you got AI stealing a lot of these resources that would go to other players. It doesn't make sense economically. I mean, that's where I was talking about the war.
And we did have what was that, BJ?
I was going to say, this wasn't necessarily a streaming platform, but did you guys see that Omegle shut down yesterday?
I didn't.
I didn't.
That might be good for mankind.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
dude, that was like Reddit 50-50. It might be a positive for our kids.
I was just saying it's good for children everywhere.
We need to make sure kids aren't on there. Omegle's wild.
All right, we got some more questions as well here. I know a lot of people asking about the crash. We're looking at the breaking news. I mean, part of it might just be a healthy pullback, but we're looking at it.
Well, Candle Daddy was asking any interesting DeSci stuff out there right now. Josh, you got anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, so there is a lot of really cool things happening in decentralized science right now. Now, a lot of those tokens, I'm not going to say them on stream, but we're going to be doing those in the membership with the Discord. So if you guys want to see that, because it's just a much smaller industry and it's very complex, and I like to educate you and teach you guys on what that means. But we'll be definitely having interviews with like cognitive scientists and researchers on here that can help explain what they're trying to do. But essentially in DeSci, guys, it is disrupting big pharma as a whole. So if you hate the banking industry, which if you're in crypto, you probably do, we need to disrupt big pharma as well. It's a very centralized industry. They take your data, they sell it on the black market, just like Facebook did, and probably still do today. And so there's a lot of corruption in that industry. And so in that industry, there's a lot of fundraising platforms and stuff that universities, laboratories, scientists, PhDs, Nobel Prize winners, really valuable people and scientists that are using tokens to enhance scientific discovery and longevity. That's probably my favorite. The only one I'm going to say on stream, because it's the biggest one, is VitaDAO. That's VITA DAO. And it's very correlated to the Ethereum Foundation. Vitalik Buterin's very much involved with it. They had a huge conference called Zuzulu in Montenegro earlier this year. I was invited, didn't get able to attend, but I was messaging back and forth with these people, and they're having massive breakthroughs using AI and crypto to create this trustless system that allows scientists now on a global scale to communicate, because you need to be able to do research with Chinese scientists, with Russian scientists, with Japanese scientists. We need this like cross-pollination and global decentralization if we want to take that next step in innovation. So I would say check that out. DeSci is awesome. And it's, in my opinion, one of the best utilities for the industry, just because it's biased and I just love science.
Yeah, the collaboration's really what pushes science forward, like we saw in near that wet market. But here we have a live shot of the bear market trying to come back, everybody. And then it met the bull here.
Well, which photo?
The one right here. I've cropped the bottom. You can't see the bottom.
Okay.
Oh my God, you could see the bottom. Jeez, I thought it was a screen on the left there. But look at that photo.
Water
How
guns.
perfectly timed. I don't know if you guys have seen this become a meme lately, but it's been all over the internet.
Why
Now,
does he remind me of the guy from Jurassic
that was
Park?
a picture from
He
a
does.
video game.
Yeah,
He
the
does.
Some
Jurassic
are
Park
saying
guy.
it's the call an ambulance,
Mm.
but not for
Yes.
me.
Oh,
And now he's back.
yeah.
Now he's back, everybody.
Taking shots at Bitcoin price. Yeah, somebody, Crimson Caravan Company said, when are you guys going to let me work with y'all? Man, hit me up, man. Right now, we're looking for all kinds of different people that do research. I don't know if you're remote or local or anything like that, but just, send us a message and we're open to it, especially in the BitLab and in Discord. We got a lot of really fun stuff rolling out. So community members that want to be involved with what we're doing here, just let me know.
Only scientist I mess with is Walter White.
Okay.
You dig? You know what? Walter White would have bought Bitcoin as well.
Last question we have here was a price prediction for Quant. I don't know if we want to get it says for the top of the bull run, which that's going to take a little bit more research to go all the way
QNT.
in, but it is on a pretty strong pullback off of this. It's hard correct. It went all the way up to 110. Looks like it's trying to find its way back to 100.
Yeah, we can share my screen. You can see the pullback right there. That was off a cliff.
Yeah.
It looks like just off to the down to the bottom there.
But I know Quant's a big favorite by a lot of other people. It's in a decent position overall to make a good run in this next bull market. What's the all-time high for it? Looks like it already hit like almost 400, 384 basically.
Yeah, and so, first and foremost, guys, make sure there's 700 of you guys watching. Make sure you guys smash that like
Look at
button
that.
and subscribe,
Token
because we do
supply.
have 2 videos, I believe, coming out on Quant. One fully in-depth one on its SaaS model, Gilbert Verdi, and how it works, and just the creation of it. And then DZ also made one a little bit. I heard you talking about it yesterday.
I did a 10K portfolio. Expect that to come out pretty soon. And Quant, I shouldn't even give you this alpha, folk. There's 8 coins. You definitely, the 8th one, I'm keeping a secret till the end of that video. But yeah, Quant is one of the coins. And Josh, he kind of pointed out to me, and this is kind of what my spin on it. It has a great normie-friendly narrative. And the last great, I'm saying great, not just a good one. I'm saying a great normie-friendly narrative was the graph. Do you guys remember what everyone called the graph in like January, February 2021?
The Google of
Google.
blockchain.
What do you call Quant?
The Internet of Blockchain. It falls under that category of the whole next financial banking system, ISO 222 trend. And so whether or not you are like a maxi in that industry, which I think if you are a maxi, we all make a joke around the office, you just hate making money. But ultimately with Quant, we're seeing something that allows cross interoperability between financial institutions. So with the talks of CBDCs, stablecoins, all those initiatives, it is a player that is going to, I think, excel in that industry. And for that reason, I do look at like I'm going to put a price prediction out there between $600 to $800. I think it can very much so do a 6 to 8x. What I'd be very careful of though is, the reason why I'm giving it round numbers is a lot of the asset volatility is going to come from speculation. And that's because of the narrative around it. It's very easy to absorb. Internet of blockchain, people kind of can market it in such a way. And its pumponomics are crazy. And what pumponomics are is there's a very limited supply. So when there's a little movement in that, it's going to see some pretty significant price action. And that's going to be as well good for marketing. So that's kind of my outlook for Quant.
Yeah, zoomed in on the circulating total supply here. Looks like about 60,000 tokens out of 15.5 million or 14.5 million right there. So 99% of the supply is out versus a lot of coins. 90% has yet to be released. A lot of times the protocol, the team, they'll dump on you, the VCs, the people who got in early, they're getting that coin for 10 cents and they're dumping at you for $5.
Maria N with the question, I'm going to throw this to Josh since he's our local policy guy. Are you guys concerned of a potential shutdown? They have to pass a budget next week, 17th or 18th. How will this affect the market in your opinion?
Government shutdown?
Yes.
Government shutdowns, guys, always go to the finish line. They're using this as a huge, I don't think we're going to shut down right now, especially as we approach elections only a year away. The Democrats are going to want to do everything in their power not to do so. So the Republicans are playing this like, we're going to just mess with you and poke the bear as much as possible and get what we want up into, we get to that point. So,
well, didn't they pause the debt ceiling till 2025 as well?
Yep.
The debt ceiling,
pseudo correlation.
The term ceiling, good point. The term ceiling in the government doesn't matter because it's it's like, it's just endless space and time, I feel like. So
They'll blow through that ceiling all
they blow through it all
Well,
the
to be
time.
fair, it's early 2025, y'all. It's January 1st, 2025.
It's right after we take all of our profits.
If
Yeah,
you were to
400 days or so.
If we were to do like TA on like how many times a government shutdown was supposed to take place, I'm sure it's upwards over 90%. Where
it's like
actually
Bitcoin is
happen.
dead.
Yeah.
You'd be pretty rich if you got a penny every time. Well, speaking of Republican, in the show, no, I didn't get your take on the GOP debate. If anyone did watch it, maybe type in, who do you think was the clear winner? I've watched about half of it, and I've seen a few more clips. To me, it was clearly Vivek. He won the night with there are two people. We don't need another Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels. And there's two of them on stage. And then you look down at Ron DeSantis' lifts in his shoes.
Yeah.
You literally heard the crowd like, oh,
Roasted.
TJ, it was a middle school cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Vivek in a lot of different ways. I still think he's a little bit early to the phase, but he's setting precedent for his future runs or whatever he wants to do in the future. But unfortunately, he is 100% correct in his speech where he trashed on mainstream media. And that it's honestly probably not even, a lot of it's not even his fault. It's the fact that the Republican Party is just full of losers at this point because of the paneling structure and how we actually advertise for them. He's like, we need Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson.
I actually have that clip. It's about a minute
we play
40.
that?
If we wanted to play it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the one where he calls out traditional media. And guys, this is why we say it's important the new media is taken over. And then this is a good example.
Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. There's a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. Do you think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made-up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Go. Answer the question. Go.
This is how we get our country back.
Just smiles awkwardly,
we need accountability because this media
that was nuts. That was definitely a good gotcha moment.
I don't even have the audio here, and I just know what he says, and it just gets the adrenaline in me, guys. This is not a partisan issue, okay? You got to look at this from a nonpartisan perspective, and that's what we're doing with Web3 policies, with the Florida Blockchain Business Association. It's why we're getting involved with pushing bills through Congress and just getting our name out there, because his point, guys, the military-industrial complex with Nikki Haley, and the media is one issue, but these lobbyists are coming in and just funding opposing parties and forcing this down everybody's throats. And these same businesses that are lobbying these politicians, at the same time, there's no one representing us. There's no one representing the retailers that are coming in and saying, hey, this is an innovative industry. And this proves that point. We had an article come out from, I think, was it Wall Street Journal? What was the one?
Yeah, WSJ, I believe.
Wall Street Journal, trying to stand up for Vivek after this entire GOP discussion, saying that he's like pretty much a loser.
Post. It was
Washington
Post.
Post.
No, it's the world's or America's oldest newspaper. Yeah.
Oh, it's Post. Yeah. And it shows, guys, like a lot of people in positions of power, we need to start speaking up. We need to start advocating for this, and we need to call him out. And seeing him do that on stage, whether you like it or not, that should just boost the adrenaline in you, saying it's time. We're making this change, and it's good, I think, for America as a whole and politics and just the policies we're going to push for Web3 as a whole for retailers in the future. So yeah, I'm stoked.
Real quick before we wrap up, I did want to give a shout out to Tom Crown. He just shared this breaking news. Coinbase is down. That's how we know things are really moving. We may not have circuit breakers like the stock market does, but if things are pulling back too hard, Coinbase does do their part. And like, you know what, guys, we're just going to turn this sell button off for a little while. Don't overreact. So, we know the market's moving when Coinbase is hitting their breakers. Actually, and shout out to Coinbase too. The overnight on Coin, I think it closed like right around $90, opened up close to 94. I mean, it's just crazy to watch those charts.
I told you guys to buy that, I think, at $40. Yep. So I hope you joined in. And then we'll end this with a little bit of shade towards Ray Dalio. This is Josh's hero. And I think this is just the funniest thing ever. It kind of just speaks to the corruption by the players that have been here for decades. Incredible display of Ray Dalio's principles. He built an app for ranking employee believability at his company, Bridgewater. Other employees rank as more believable than Ray Dalio, and then he forces the devs to auto-rank him as the most believable. Ray, that's not a good look for you, Ray. Ray, we look to you as like, unbiased information about the global markets, and then you do that in your own internal communications.
Yeah. When you guys read those books, I do like Ray Dalio a lot, but you got to realize every economist is biased based off their own philosophy and their own research.
And their own investments.
Every single one. So if you read something, The Changing World Order, a lot of people come into economy or economics, and that's like the first book they read, and then they use that as their Bible, like religiously. And what you want to do is not that. You want to come into this and be an open mind and read multiple different perspectives. So whenever you're researching a topic about geopolitical tensions, the downfall of the dollar, BRICS, whatever it is, go grab, like, type in Ray Dalio, be like opposing opposition views or whatever it is, and go research or read a book that literally is an argument against what he is saying. So, it's not surprising to me that an economist thinks that he's the smartest in the world and wants to be on top of the list.
All right. Well, you know what? We're going to be on top of the world. If you go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you for joining today. We got the memberships rolling off, Q&A tomorrow, Discord's popping off, and we'll see you guys